Thanks so much for visiting Tea and Butty on YouTube. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello, and welcome back to Tea and a Buddy with me, Dominic.
And me, Erica.
And this is the final one, I think, isn't it? In our school
unless
years.
we come up with something else.
School series. Yes.
High school.
High school. Or secondary school.
Yeah.
Or grammar school. Or whatever you went to in Britain.
Oh.
Grammar school, secondary school. Same sort of thing, you know. It's
Yeah.
secondary education. And I promise in this podcast I won't mention GCSEs as much.
No, you're going to have to now.
Because Erica didn't like it. She got very angry with me at the end of last podcast because I was talking about GCSEs all the time. Apparently that wasn't allowed. That wasn't in the rules.
Oh my god.
So
no, we have to talk about GCSEs.
But now we have to talk about them. So in your face.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
indeed.
Let's kick off by talking about the differences.
Okay.
Because in high
you
school,
started secondary school at like age 11.
11, yes. I mean, if any of you have seen Harry Potter,
14.
if any of you seen Harry Potter, then you'll know that that's what kind of it's based on, like a British schooling system. You know, it is. You know, you start off in year 7. I think it was called year 1 in Harry Potter, though, because, you know, you can call it that. Year 1 to 6 or whatever, or 5 or whatever it was. But it's the same sort of thing, same sort of structure. You know, in my school, I started off, we had a uniform. It was black jumper, kind of like a striped tie, black trousers, black shoes, white shirt. And we were sorted into houses when we first
like Gryffindor?
Like Gryffindor. We had a sorting ceremony. We did.
Did you honestly?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, we did.
Shut up. You've never told me this.
Yes. And it was like a big assembly and you had to get up and go on the stage and stuff like that. And they'd be like that.
Shut up.
And I would go like that, grab your head like that. You know, there was no sorting hat because, you know, it wasn't magic. And she'd just grab your head and she'd go like that. Gryffindor!
Oh my god.
No, I can't remember how I was sorted into houses. I obviously had there must have been some sort of sorting ceremony. I can't remember if there was like...
This entire concept of houses is so
It's Victorian.
bizarre.
It dates back to the Victorian era, I think, when it was just kind of like to create kind of competition in the school, you know, like house so-and-so would go as...
Oh, that makes sense because you guys don't have school teams, do you?
Well, yeah, we do.
Other schools.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, do you?
But you know, like.
So then, do you have like school colors and school mascots?
We have school colors, but not. I don't know. I mean, maybe we do have mascots. I can't remember what the mascot was though in mine.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, I seem to remember. I remember the house that I was in school was Cleady House, and there was 4 houses. Mm-hmm. There was Morlais, Cleady, Cothi, and Towie. And they were rivers, named after rivers in Wales.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, you know... And there was... Cleady was green, Morlais was red, Cothi was blue, and Towie was yellow.
It seems like it's a way to split up the responsibility.
Cleady was green as well.
So that, like, over here, the principal has the most responsibility over the entire
and there was
school.
heads of houses too.
The principal and then the vice principal. So it sounds to me that you guys split up into houses in order to, because you have your heads of houses then are responsible for the kids in your house unless what? Unless something really bad and then you go to the headmaster or what?
Yes, that's what it is, yeah.
So it's basically just so that all the kids in the school, the responsibility doesn't just lie on the headmaster, basically.
Basically, yes. I think that's what it was for.
That's kind of good, actually, I think.
I can't remember why I was put in Cleady House. I guess I can't remember ever being asked which house I'd like to join.
Yeah.
Maybe I was, actually. I come to think of it, because... Oh, no, maybe not. Because I can't remember who else was in Cleady, too. Because I remember very early on, we'd have, like, you know, whichever house you were in, you were with a bunch of other boys and girls, you know,
Mhm.
and you'd have competitions. The Eisteddfod
But you didn't like.
was one.
But you're comparing this to Harry Potter now. You did not actually live at the school.
No.
You didn't. Your
We didn't live in the
house wasn't
school.
like a dormitory.
No,
where you stayed.
it wasn't like that. And we didn't
So-
have Quidditch matches against each other or anything like
No,
that.
but what I'm saying is it kind of makes sense like in a boarding school where people
Yeah.
live, because then
It's
have
an
a head-
age-old system,
because
yeah.
then you have a head of house and they're responsible for everyone who lives in this dorm. Kind of like when you go to university over here, you have what's called an RA, a resident advisor,
Yeah.
and they are the person for your dorm that
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
to if you're having issues of whatever kind. You go and talk to them. It's sort of like that, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to have houses in a school where the students aren't boarding in also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're not living there, and you know, what is the point of having separate houses? What did you do? I mean, what did you do in these houses?
We just kind of like, I don't even know. I can't remember what we did really. You know, we just kind of like, we had like maybe competitions. I mean, I remember them being at the fore during this festival. It's like a Welsh festival, the Eisteddfod, which is like, and so someone would put forth a representative of our house to go and read some poetry or something, and there would be points awarded to the houses. I think we did have points. It's like, oh, there's 20 points to Pleiade House, or, you know.
Yeah.
20
and
points
then
to
what
Molly.
happened with those points?
I mean, you know, it's just like they tallied them up at the end of the year and got an award or something. I mean, I don't remember now. I mean, it was a long time ago to me now. But it's just kind of like...
But yeah, so schools in Britain are like Harry Potter. This is essentially what we're learning in this conversation.
It's
But you
kinda-
start
yeah.
at age 11. In America, you start at age 14. High school starts
Yeah.
at age 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're only there for, in the years, we call them, it's 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. We call them freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior in high school. These are what we call our high school years. We don't have houses or any of the Harry Potter kind of
Yes, I mean,
elements.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember being sorted into... It was random. I seem to remember it was random. I remember you were in House Pleiade when I joined Bringman. It was like, that's what she told me, you know?
Yeah.
You're going to be in Pleiade House.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just... it was kind of like it would have made more sense at a boarding school than a comprehensive.
Yeah.
But, you know, because a boarding school is like pastoral care for students, you know, like, because, you know, you're not living at home with your parents, so
Yeah.
someone has to look after you.
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
what a
thing.
resident advisor is at university.
Gryffindor is like your family, you know, just to
Yeah.
use the Harry Potter ones, you know, instead of my own ones.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be used, you know, it's like the names of the houses could be named after saints or, you know, anything to do with the region.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, Bringwin's house names were named after
So it's
Welsh
really
rivers-
just like an
rivers.
old-fashioned thing that's just still...
It's an old-fashioned thing that's
Hanging
still
over.
hanging over, yeah, but I mean, it's more prevalent in boarding schools, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it makes more sense, I think, in a boarding school. But something else you guys have in common with Harry Potter is in high school, it also exists, or prefects also exist.
Yeah, I think
Explain to us what a prefect is, because I still do not understand.
it's like well, there's head boy and head girl as well.
Oh, yeah. Those are prefects, though, aren't they?
I think they can be prefects too. Prefects, you get a badge you can put on your tie,
Yeah.
and you get to like, I don't even know what the perks of. I think it was kind of like school monitors. You had that kind of thing, you know, the
Hall monitors.
hall monitors. It was kind of like that was a duty of them.
Yeah.
It was just to keep the students in order, and, you know, you were an outstanding pupil if you were a prefect.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was going to be a prefect, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And thankfully, my mate who was sitting next to me got to be one instead of me, and they didn't, because marks or whatever weren't that great or anything, so I wasn't eligible anyway. But I thought because of my behaviour, which was pretty good, I was going to be one, you know. But thankfully I wasn't. And yeah, I can't remember what the point of them really was. I mean, I remember they got a badge that said prefect, you know, and that's what it said, and they put it on their tie. It was like a metal badge.
Yeah.
A button.
Yeah.
You know. But other than that, I mean, I can't tell you what they did or what really use it was.
I think in Harry Potter they get to sort of enforce the school rules.
That's what they're supposed to do. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. But it's like, what kid is going to do that? You know, it's going to like.
I mean, in theory,
I seem to remember my mate took his duties quite seriously. Yeah. I'm a prefect. Oh, you know, if someone was like winding him up or like, you know, like messing about with him.
In theory, we had hall monitors over here, but I don't remember any hall monitors at my school. I really don't remember that. Hall monitors just makes me think of like Screech and Saved by the Bell. I think he was a hall monitor at some point. I don't know. Yeah. That's the only thing I associate with hall monitors, but it's essentially the same thing, I guess. Like if they're eating a candy bar or something and they throw it down, they'll be like, hey, throw that in the trash, you know, or what? No,
throw it in the trash.
No running in the halls.
Shut your gob. That was the kind of stuff that went on.
No running in the halls or, you know, things like
running,
that.
Yeah, that's what they used to do. Yeah, I remember, and I seem to remember there was a girl in my reg class who was a prefect, and she kind of like asserted her authority once with someone, and she just got laughed at because it's like, huh. But it's like she could go to like the head or whatever and say, yeah, this kid is doing it, and you know they'd get on to them, you know.
Yeah.
This kid is being bad or whatever, you know. But I wasn't a prefect. Yeah, I mean it was just kind of like the house system. It's very strange to pretty much everyone who isn't British.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the importance of that. I mean, it's more important in a boarding school rather than... And I mean, I'm sure there was kids in Bringwyn, my school, I mean, that took pride in their house and, you know, was like, oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Because...
So you weren't very into school, so you don't
I wasn't
really
into
know.
school, yeah.
Don't really know.
School days, you know.
I
just remember things, you know.
I was very geeky like that. I was very into my school and like... Yeah, I was very into school. I don't know.
I mean, I remember my best friend in school. He was in Morlai's house, so you know when things like Steadford would come, we couldn't sit together because his house was sat over there and we were over here in the gymnasium or whatever watching people. So I had to be stuck with the guy who became prefect, actually, because I didn't want... I'm not saying their names or anything. And, you know, that was just kind of like, you know, that was the, like, 1 or 2 days a year that we had to be, like, all jammed together and in one section.
Yeah.
Because we're all part of Lleidy House and...
Yeah.
Coffee and Towie and... You know, just named after rivers, named after, like, Saint Nicholas House, Saint George House, you know, Saint Andrew House, you know, it could be... one, or, you know, and like I'm sure in some schools there's probably like a John Lennon house, Paul McCartney house, George Harrison house, or Ringo Starr house.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're like big figures, you know, in some Liverpool school. If you go to school in Liverpool, tell us if you were in John Lennon house or Paul McCartney house. Might explain which one of your favourite Beatles were.
Okay, so anyway, next...
Sorry, it just went on about the houses there.
Moving
swiftly along there.
This is all bringing back things now.
Bringing back memories.
I used to have
sweet memories.
I used to have a teacher that would say, moving rapidly on, you know. They'd always say that. Anyway, just a little memory for you there.
Just a little memory for you. I don't really have that many memories of school.
You guys in
Really?
Britain, we've talked about this before, I think. You guys, you said you did have school sports teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be called what? Just Bringwyn?
Bringwyn school. Yeah. I don't think we were called like the Bringwyn
Bats.
Bats. Or the, you know, because usually it was Bringwyn against Coedca, another school. This is because most of my secondary school experience was done in Wales, so there was a lot of weird names and stuff. So anybody listening would not understand what, unless they were Welsh and went to the same school as me, or grew up in South Wales, would know what I'm talking about.
Like in Texas particularly, football's a really big thing. So football's like an important thing in high school, You have, you just have, I can't remember really some of the high school mascots' names, but you'd have like the Bears or the Bats or the Rams or the Bobcats or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, like professional football teams in Britain have that, like Arsenal, for instance, are the Gunners because of their...
And when I said football, I mean American football,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah, and I mean soccer, but, Arsenal is like the Gunners, West Ham, I think it's the Hammers, I think they're called, or the Irons or something.
Yeah, but you don't have it in high school, is what we're talking about. Yeah.
No, I don't think we do.
So we have colors, we have the school colors, we have, we're big like school pride, So at the beginning of the school year, you would have homecoming in America.
Yeah, I've never understood what the heck that was all about.
Basically, it is the first home football game of the season. Home meaning you're having the game at your school. You're not going to somebody else's school. So that's your home. You're having your football game at your school or at your home stadium. So if you live
a homecoming dance and stuff.
So if you live in a city like Austin, let's say, there's only about 3 big major high school stadiums here. So they kind of assign schools of the area, this is your home stadium. If you live in North Austin, this is your home stadium. If you live in South Austin, this is your home stadium, whatever. So it would be your home stadium, the first game, your first home game, because you're either home or you're away.
Yeah.
So your first home game, and then the class that's just graduated or any classes that have graduated in the past, in theory, come back to the school for the first home game of the season. So it's their homecoming. They're coming home to their school, to their alma mater.
Home. It's coming. Football's coming home.
And we have a tradition where we wear these flowers called mums. We pin them, and there's like ribbons hanging down and bells,
like a rosette.
And streamers and just everything. And the bigger, the better. Like sometimes you see them hanging all the way to the floor, and I don't know, boys will buy this for the girl for homecoming.
Like a corsage.
It's like a corsage, but it's a huge thing like that. And it's got all the ribbons, and it'll say your name or your school or things that relate to you in particular. If you're a cheerleader, cheerleaders is another thing we'll talk about in a second. If you're a cheerleader or if you're in choir or band, there might be little it's sort of like the equivalent of a what are those bracelets called? Charm bracelets.
Yeah.
That you buy charms that are like associated with you in some way, So if you're a Cancer and your sign is the crab, you might have a crab charm. So on the mums, you would have if you're in drama, you might have a little theater masks hanging from off of your mum, or just things that associate. If you're in choir or whatever, you might have music note things hanging off of your mum. So the boys will buy that for the girls. The girls sometimes may buy a wrist corsage for the guys, but usually not. And then you'll go to the game, and then after the game, there'll be a dance. There'll either be a dance that same night, or it'll be the next night, or it'll have been the previous night, and it's homecoming dance. And it's sort of like prom in that people dress up, but they don't usually get quite as fancy as they do for prom on homecoming. And I don't think that the graduating people can go. I think it's just for the school, but...
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a prom to us. That sounds like a prom kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's something different in America, prom.
It's similar.
I mean, it's a similar...
Did you guys have school dances in high school?
We had a school disco.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That means it was every Friday night, or not every Friday night, every whenever summer school disco or something, and I think it would be held at the school.
Yeah.
And I never went to them. I don't ever remember going to one. I think I went to one when I was like year 6. I think they had them in like primary school for like the older kids, you know. And I think there was one, and I went to one, and it was very tame affair. It was like very tame. I remember having sandwiches there, and you know, it was just kind of very stale.
I think I usually used to go to the school dances. I can't really remember, but I'm pretty
I
sure
used to know,
I went
yeah,
to
people.
most of them,
I mean,
think.
obviously there was kids in our school went to the school disco, but I just never. I don't know. I just never really socialized with all the people in my school. I only had like a small group of friends, and we usually never went to that thing.
Yeah.
We socialized outside of school, and we didn't need to go back to it to socialize. You know? I mean, you know, it's like, yeah. I mean, over here it seems like high school is very dominated by sports. And it was kind of like that in Bringwin too, because I remember like these two, like the boys who were like jocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they were kind of like that, you know.
They were like the popular ones.
They were kind of popular, and they had girlfriends and stuff like that. And I remember these two girls who were in my class were going out with. This was like when we were like 15, 16.
Yeah.
They were going out with 2 of the boys on the rugby team, and they used to come in the corridor before the class and used to be smooching and doing all that kind of stuff. Smooching and kissing and feeling each other up and stuff. And it was just so funny because our registrator used to drive her nuts. And I remember I was right by her desk as well, our reg teacher, so she'd call them both up, and she's like, you need to stop kissing your boyfriends. And you can do it outside of school all you want, but you can't do it in school, okay? No kissing. No kissing. It's just,
no kissing.
I remember she was just laughing, and the 2 girls were just laughing at, you know, just like giggling, like, you know, like, we're getting on to, you know, gotten on to. She seemed like a crabby old freaking so-and-so anyway. But it was just like, it was just freaking hilarious because it's just like, what are you doing? You know?
I mean, that's the stereotypical thing about high school is that the jocks are the popular ones and then they're always dating the cheerleaders. But I didn't really have that experience at my school because, as I've mentioned in some of these previous podcasts, I went to a magnet school, which is sort of more for like brainy, nerdy people. And a lot of the kids at my school were in that. And so therefore, and not to be like stereotypical, but the brainy, nerdy people aren't generally super great at sports a lot of the time. So our sports teams at my school were not that great. So the people
I don't know if Bringwin was pretty good, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
The people who played football or whatever at my school, people knew them, but they weren't like God like they are at some other schools, especially in Texas.
And it definitely wasn't the same in our school.
And we definitely had like maybe a quarterback dating a cheerleader. You know, we did have that kind of stereotypical
The girls who were dating the rugby boys, because rugby was the big thing.
Yeah.
They weren't cheerleaders. You know, there was no
right,
such
you
thing.
guys don't have cheerleaders.
No such thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
So
I still don't really see the point in it.
So should I explain cheerleaders?
You explained it to me as like they just cheer the crowd on because if your team's losing.
So it's
just like if your team's losing, your team's losing.
So at some schools you can have really kind of elite cheerleading squads, and they'll actually compete against each other and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie like Bring It On.
Oh yeah.
They have their own kind of competitions, but most schools just have a general cheerleading team, and they'll put their little performances together and stuff, and they'll just go mainly just to football games. They don't even really go. Sometimes you might see the cheerleaders at a basketball game, but you really won't see them at any other. You won't see them at baseball games. You won't see them at anything but football games usually. And they just stand in the front.
Yeah, it's just football. It's just American football, isn't it? The cheerleaders go.
Mostly,
they're
yeah.
so competitive with each other. They've got to look the best and, you know. And
well, I don't know about that.
Twirl and crap.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But
I'm from a different country.
But they do have competitions amongst themselves. Like it's a sport in itself in a way. It's sort of like a gymnastics dance kind of sport for the schools that do compete against each other, cheerleading squads. The cheerleaders at my school,
why can't
they
it be
just
boys
did it.
Why is it girls?
No, it's boys too.
But it's mostly girls you see
because
all
boys
the time.
don't want to do it, do they? We had boys on my as cheerleaders at my school. Yeah, I mean,
Let's go, team.
there's nothing.
Let's go.
There's nobody telling them that they cannot do it, but they just don't want to do it.
Team.
Yeah.
So
we have cheerleaders. We have dance team also, and the dance team will come out during halftime of the football games, and they'll dance in the middle. Sometimes they have streamers or batons or flags or something like that. Yeah, and they'll perform. So that's something different. I don't know if you guys had dance teams at your school.
At rugby games, you'd have like the mascot, and he'd come out and he'd just run around the side. It'd be usually a man in a freaking huge suit, like the Scarlets, like Llanelli Scarlets. Now that's like the main big.
Yeah,
team.
we're talking about high school though.
Yeah, I know that, but in school, I can't remember if they had them in school or not. If we had like mascots and stuff in school.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd just be like someone in a big freaking costume, going around like, there's, I don't know what the Scarlet's thing, but, school, yeah.
You don't remember having a dance team at school though, and you said you guys don't have like a marching band either.
I don't remember. Oh, maybe we did, but it's like, it sounds like at schools over here you were forced to attend all these kind of things and you saw them more frequently, whereas we weren't really forced to attend all this kind of stuff.
We weren't forced to attend. What do you mean, like football games?
Yeah.
We weren't forced to.
Yeah, you were. It's like you got to go there because your team is playing and the cheerleaders are cheerleading and you got to be there and you got to watch it.
We weren't forced. I mean, I'm sure there were kids at my school.
On pain of anyone who doesn't turn up to the football field will suffer death.
I'm sure there were kids at my school who never went to a football game or anything like that. But I as I said before, I was into school, so I did. But yeah, we had marching band, and they would be playing all throughout the game in the stands in the stadiums, and then they'd go down on the halftime and march around and do their things. And
usually when you watch like a soccer game in Britain, it's usually some fat guy with a drum or a freaking klaxon or a horn, going,
yeah. But you guys, so band is not a thing in high school in Britain?
I don't remember it being so. I mean, it's part of music, I guess, but I never saw it.
Yeah. Because we have marching band and then we have orchestra also.
Maybe it was. I mean, assemblies, it's like when we were called to like assembly, there would be like, and now we have Catherine Jenkins from Year 9 to perform Hark the Angels Come on trumpet. And she'd come up and she'd do a little thing on trumpet with like maybe a couple of other people.
Yeah.
And that would be about it. That was about the extent of the band I saw.
So if you are in Britain and you know different than what Dominic is talking about, please let me know, because I'm curious if you guys didn't have some sort of, maybe not marching band, but just band where, kids would learn the drums or what else?
I don't remember it.
The cymbals or the, what else do they do in marching
band? Military things are like marching bands. Like the Grenadier Guards have a marching band.
Yeah.
And the thing about in Britain, I mean, I'm getting a bit off topic here, is like there was like brass bands are the thing. I think we did have a brass band in school.
Yeah, that's like what a marching band is.
But it's a different type of thing because people still do the brass band. That was kind of like an extracurricular activity that people... If you've ever seen the movie Brassed Off... It's like usually it was associated with like coal mining pits.
Yeah.
Like people who were miners, they'd have a brass band for whatever reason. Whoever worked down the pit, they go and to raise money for their pit, I guess it would be. Yeah. And they do it every Christmas and stuff. But maybe that happened I seem to remember seen a couple of kids in town with a band. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that was like something to do with the school or that was just their own thing that they did,
Yeah. Yeah, because we had marching band. We had, we also had orchestra, which would have been like the upright basses and the violins. I think we. Oh, I don't know. Our school was quite small, and that was separate. So sometimes they would get gigs where they could like go to orchestra competitions. I don't know. I wasn't.
Yeah,
in
I mean, that kind of
orchestra,
stuff
but-
happened. I know that kind of stuff happened.
Yeah.
Because I remember in assembly they'd be like, and so from Morley House and the Bringwin School Orchestra went to Sweden over the course of the holiday and they won in the big competition over there. And give us a hand. And anybody not applauding will suffer death. And death shall have no dominion.
Yeah, so let us know your high school experiences wherever you went to high school. Let us know if you can relate to any of this stuff or if you had way different experiences from that of me and Dominic.
It
Particularly,
sounds to me like I just didn't pay attention in school
particularly if you're in
to anything.
particularly
Did I even go to school? Find out in the next episode.
particularly if you're in Britain. Do let us know. Do let us know if you guys had any of this kind of stuff at your school in Britain, or if Dominic was explaining anything incorrectly or different from what you can remember.
Yes.
Let us know.
Let us all know.
Because I'm curious, because obviously I didn't go to school in Britain, but I think we're going to have to end there and maybe like do a part 2 to this.
Yeah, because there's more to talk about, so part 2 coming up.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, folks.
But let us know. We love to hear from you. If you want to support us, please do share our podcast on social media with all your friends. You can find us on Anchor or iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, kind of pretty much all the major podcast apps.
We are out there in the universe.
Yeah. So do just share us and help us spread the word out.
Spread the word.
If you're finding this content useful, informative, entertaining, or any of the above, you can find us on Ko-fi. Feel free to buy us a coffee. It's ko-fi.com. And it's
Tea in a Buddy, or Tea Buddy, I think it is.
Yeah, Tea Buddy, I think. And it's an online tipping service. You can just leave us a little tip there, and anything that we get, we're going to put back into these podcasts. And eventually, we're thinking about making videos eventually. So
We'll be on YouTube before long with our Philly faces.
if I don't just like sink into the crack in the floor, like disappear.
No, once we're on there, we'll be talking. You'll be able to see our faces talking to you.
Maybe. Anyway,
Definitely.
none of that is ever required. We appreciate you just listening and sharing, liking us, forwarding us,
Forward us.
all of that
Like
kind of
us.
stuff. So check out
Try us. Love us.
check out part 2 to our high school episode, and we'll be wrapping up the school series there. And I think that's it.
Goodbye.
Bye.